Welcome to the Mom Boss Like a Boss podcast where we talk about mom life, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. I'm your host, Taylor B., a mom of 4 precious boys and an entrepreneur at heart. If you've been looking for a village of like-minded people, then I think you've found the right place. I look forward to talking with you, and I can't wait to see you inside. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 4 of the Mom Boss Like a Boss podcast. This episode is titled, A Single Woman, a Married Woman, and a Married Mom Walk into a House. So, I don't fully remember my notes from when I came up with that title. But if I recall correctly, it was something along the lines of, how very different life looks at different stages in your life. For example, as a single woman, you have typically, I would expect you to have freedom to come and go as you please. You only have to get yourself ready when you have to go somewhere. You don't have to rely on anyone else, It's just you, right? You don't have to answer anybody. There's no one looking to you for anything. Mind you, I am talking about your typical single adult woman. And let's say also who is living on her own, right? Or maybe in college and living on your own for the most part. But for the sake of this episode, let's just say we're referring to a single adult woman living on her own, period. Right? You have quite a bit of freedom and quite a bit of leeway to do what you want with your life. And none of that is bad. Just to make sure that's clear. None of that is bad. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're human. That's just what it is. Now, life for a married woman with no kids looks different. Now, you share a space and a life with your partner, your husband. And I know that there are women married to women. I know. For this example, I am literally just speaking from my own experiences. That's all. So now, as a married woman, you share this space with your husband, your spouse, and now it's not only up to you. It's not just your decisions anymore. You have to be a team player. And yeah, it definitely looks different. And if you are a woman of faith, now you have a husband to lead you. Hopefully you have a good husband who knows how to lead. So it looks very different just going from a single woman to being a married woman without kids. It's a vast change. It can take some getting used to. Now, when you add kids into the mix, that's a whole nother ball game. So now you not only have a spouse, and again, I am talking generally. I know there are single moms. I know there are single dads. I know there are same-sex couples who have kids, some who don't have kids. I know that. I'm fully aware of that. I am just speaking from one perspective at this moment in time. But life as a married mom is definitely a lot of pressure. Every day I've got 30 tabs open in my brain trying to remember everything. You know, like, okay, I have to remember or be reminded to check the lunch choice to make sure it's something that my oldest son will eat. So if he won't eat it or if he doesn't like it, I have to make sure that he's got a Lunchable. So I have to remember to go get said Lunchable. Then I have to remember to put said Lunchable in his backpack. That's just one small part of it. I have to get everyone's clothes together every morning, including my own if I'm going out to work that day, which typically I am. To make my life and everyone else's lives easier. It's so much easier if I get the kids' clothes ready, if not the night before, then super early in the morning. So that way I don't have to go digging for clothes while they're eating breakfast and all these things. It makes my husband's life much easier if his clothes are laid out for him. Not that he can't do it himself. It just makes his life easier to have it done. And yeah, especially with how early in the morning he goes out for work, I feel much better knowing that that's one less thing he has to stress about. And then recently, I asked him if he could take the dog out for me and feed her as part of his routine to help make things easier for me because of my limited work schedule. And he's been doing that, and it has made a huge difference. It was wild just how that one task made my life in the morning so much easier. Not having to worry about taking the dog out, not having to worry about if she's going to pee on the freaking floor, and not having to worry about if she's eaten. That made such a huge difference. Even if I have to feed her because he doesn't have time, that just him taking her out for me has worked wonders. Like, goodness gracious, that's been lovely. But I've seen people talk about like, oh, as a mom, I could never imagine my house, being dirty, my house is my peace, and this, that, and the other. And don't get me wrong, I get it, sis. I don't like my house being junky. I don't like the fact that my house looks like kids live here. But guess what? Kids live here. I'm just saying. And also, yes, it bothers me to a degree. But my brain, my undiagnosed ADHD brain, does not consider the junkiness, depending on what it is, as a priority right now. If it's just, I need to go through this pile of papers and throw things away and shred things that are sensitive, my brain is not even thinking about that because it's not a priority. Again, this is me talking about subconsciously. I might be looking at the pile. I might be thinking to myself, oh, I need to do that. But I won't do it. Not in that moment, because for whatever reason, mentally, I'm just not prepared to do it in the moment. Don't know why. Again, most likely undiagnosed ADHD. If I ever, whenever I get diagnosed, we'll talk about it. I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you all the tea. So I get that for some people, it's like I couldn't imagine living like that. And then for some of us, it's like, this is normal life for me. And that's kind of how I feel. It's normal life for me at this point. And it's like, it is what it is. As long as my kitchen is clean and there's not like food just left out, stanking up the house. As long as there's not poop on the floor from the freaking dog. Like, it is what it is. One day I will have everything organized and pretty and cleaner. But for right now, especially with the limited space we have, that's just not, it is what it is. I just this morning started to reorganize my kids' clothes so that way it would make things easier to find. And I've done this a couple of times. But the last time that I did it, and let me back up a little bit. All of the clothes baskets clean. Yeah, all the clean clothes right now are in mine and my husband's room. Let me tell you why. Because the last time I had separated and organized all the kids' clothes into separate bins, and I had it in their room, and it was so nice. I was able to find things. I was able to very quickly get clothes together. It was a dream. You know what my wild card child did? He dumped all the clean clothes on the floor. When I tell you all, there were almost 4 bins. I think 3 bins for sure, because I have 3 older kids. He dumped all the bins of clean clothes on the floor so he could sit in them. I'm like, bro, there's no way. That was the day that I felt like I was going to crash out, because I'm like, I just washed and separated all these clean clothes, and he dumped all of them on the floor. So that means I had to rewash them. I was so ticked off. I'm like, no, I'm not putting bins of clothes in the room again. Absolutely not. And my husband keeps saying, why are these bins in here? They need to go in the kids' room. And I'm like, so your child can dump them on the floor again? Absolutely not. No. And for anyone saying, just, hang them up or put them in drawers. Guess what? I did get them dresser drawers. I did. They're not fancy drawers. They were just kind of like plastic dresser. But I did that. Guess who took them out and dumped the clothes so he could sit in the drawer? My wild card. I tell you, I swear, I'm like, bro, I don't know what to do at this point. And I can't hang everything up because there's limited closet space. But even then, guess what? Guess who will happily take clothes off hangers so he can play with the hangers? My wild card. I just bro. I'm like, sweetheart, you have all these toys. You have all these things you can do. But no, he wants to play with everything that's not a freaking toy. Okay, sorry. Random flashback, random crash out. I feel like it was valid. Whatever. Anyway, I would love to not have all these bins in my room of clothes. I don't care if they're clean or not. But I know my child, and I know he can't be trusted. So I would rather just bite the bullet and until I can figure something else out. That is how I'm protecting my peace. Okay. As moms, there are some days where, and I'm pretty sure you can relate, you got to pick your battles. And there are some levels of discomfort that I'm willing to deal with that bring me peace. Okay? Knowing that I, for the most part, don't have to worry about clean clothes getting dumped onto the floor, despite the fact that they're taking up space in my room and it's not a whole lot of room. That's fine. I will take that. That is fine for right now. And yeah, I just, with the different stages of life, it's a different mindset every single time. When you go from being single to married, now you have a spouse who you need to spend time with if you want your relationship to work. Unless if you've agreed, hey, we're in a season of hustle and we understand that we're not going to see each other very much. Honestly, even that, you gotta schedule time to spend time together. So that way your relationship can survive. And so that nothing outside of your relationship can sneak in and begin to tear you apart, potentially. And that doesn't necessarily mean infidelity. That could be resentment, from unspoken frustration. Like, oh my gosh, he keeps throwing his clothes on the floor right next to the clean clothes bin. I see that a lot online, and I always find it kind of funny because I would say for the most part, that doesn't, to a degree, doesn't bother me. I usually just will pick it up and put it in the bin. But because of our current situation, we don't always have a dirty clothes bin. I usually have to, play Tetris and move clothes around in order to free up a bin for specifically for dirty clothes. And sometimes he doesn't always see it, or sometimes he tosses and misses. And recently, and I thank God that this doesn't bother me that much, because I would probably be stressed out. Recently, I had, just gone through and did my little clothing Tetris thing, freed up a bin, and I had put it to the side, but I knew it was over by the closet where he couldn't see it. So, he was getting undressed from work and, tossing his clothes into a pile out of the way. And I brought the bin over, put it in front of him, and I pointed and I just looked at him. And he proceeds to continue to get undressed and purposely threw, I think, his work shirt on the ground next to the bin in defiance. And I was like, this is the day I'm going to go to jail. That was out of spite. Or as my husband likes to say, I see you're trying to get a rise out of me. He was joking, of course. He ended up putting his clothes in there. But yeah, like, there's a lot more, I don't even remember where I was going with this. There's a lot more responsibility and a lot more things that come with each phase of life. And I tell you, it might change for you. However, you might be the type of mom that's like, anything out of its place stresses me out. And I fully understand that. And I say, do what you got to do to keep your peace. If that means spending an hour organizing things so that way it's together like you want it to be, do that. If you've gotten to a place where you're kind of just like, I'll do it another day, then do it another day and preserve your energy, because you're going to need it for those little ones. I think I'm going to try and wrap it up here, but I would love to hear your perspective, your thoughts, your journey from being a single woman to a married mom with kids, and what life at home, looks and feels like for you. How do you maintain your peace? Because they say, your home should be your place of peace. Although, I don't know about y'all, but my kids are crazy. So peace is nobody needing to go to the hospital. That's what peace looks like for me. And if two kids are not screaming and crying at the same time, that's also peace. That's great. Peace looks different for everybody. So curious as to your thoughts. So I haven't fully decided how, at the moment, I'm batch recording my first few episodes. It's Thursday, November 13th, and this podcast should be launching this Sunday on the 16th, my birthday, my 30th birthday. Oh God, I'm turning 30. Anyway, so I'm currently batch recording, trying to get as much as I can recorded before my sweet wild card comes home. And then in the background, you hear giggling and clapping and all the other things. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do the whole newsletter thing yet. I really want to do one. So, and I also was thinking about doing posts on Threads where, after you finish listening to the episode, you can come back and be like, oh, hey, that was great. Or, oh, I wasn't really feeling it. Or, share your story, things of that nature. I might do both, but I don't know. Anyway, I guess look out for all of it, because there's a good chance that you probably heard about this podcast on Threads, and it's probably where you found me, Threads or Instagram, one of the two. And just, feel free to share your thoughts with me. Feel free to share your story. I would love to get to know you and continue to grow this village together. So that way, we can all huddle together, talk about our kids, cry, eat ice cream, take turns having our mini mental breakdowns, and then get back up and boss it up all over again. So I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in to the podcast, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Mom Boss Like a Boss podcast. If you have any thoughts on the episode, please feel free to reach out to me on Threads or Instagram. You can find me at The Creative Altruist, all one word, no spaces, underscores, or periods. It'll also be right there in the description. Until next time.